Welcome to a new episode of the CAP Podcast, Consumer Ammunition Tactics Podcast. Hopefully, y'all blessed. Hopefully, y'all amazing. Hopefully, y'all are great. If you've been listening, you should know what I was going to say. But today, as you can see in the title, we're going to talk about how to successfully sue the credit bureaus. And if you're listening on wherever you listen to podcasts, I'm gonna look through some stuff on my phone. So those of y'all that's watching the video here on YouTube, just follow me on your phone as well. So I got some notes and things I want to go through. But before we get into it, just some quick updates. Number one, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you go follow me on IG, my personal one, if you want to. Mike O. Benjamin, if you want to tap in with me on the personal side. If you want to follow our business page, go to CA Tactics LLC, the IG page. So that's my main update. Yeah, that's the main update. Let's just get straight to it, man. So we're talking about how to successfully sue the credit bureaus. Before I even continue, everything I'm going to say in this episode, everything I'm going to say in this video is not legal advice. It should not be misconstrued as legal advice. Number one, the responsible thing for me to tell y'all, if y'all in a situation where you need to sue the credit bureaus, or if you're being sued by the credit bureaus, well, you're not going to be sued by the credit bureaus. But let's say you're in a situation where you're being sued by a debt collector or something like that. What's going to happen is I'm going to recommend that what you do is hire a consumer lawyer, get an attorney or something like that, right? And do consultations, you know what I'm saying? But no, do consultations where I give non-legal advice because y'all gotta understand the advice that I'm giving is based off of my experience. So I'm not an attorney, but I have experience based off of what I've done. So that's what my consultations are for. If you did want to hop on a consultation with me, you have to have money. It's not that you're just gonna DM me, got XYZ situation. How do I go about what would I go about? You being sued for thousands of dollars, you want me to help you just give you all the sauce for free? That don't even make sense. What do I get out of it? What does my team get out of it? You know what I'm saying? So y'all gotta have common sense and stop being selfish all the time. Everything don't gotta be about y'all. I'm putting out this information in a selfless manner to help y'all for the free. If you want more information, it's gonna cost money, right? All right, listen. So how to successfully sue the credit bureaus and win. So the simplest answer of how it goes. Before we get into it, like I said, you can go to consumeradvocates.org. You can go ahead and hire an attorney over there. But the simplest answer in terms of how you sue the credit bureaus and actually win, you have to have a claim where relief can be granted. So some of y'all don't know what that means. Some of y'all have heard me say that, but you still don't know what it means, right? So we're going to break it down just to educate y'all more so y'all can understand and be able to get to the next level. If you want ongoing education on these types of topics, y'all know I have a mentorship program. It's called the Camp Credit Retire 9 to 5 Mentorship. But this episode is just about helping like y'all that are cheap, those of y'all that have like a poor mindset, and just those of y'all that just found me. If you just found me, you still getting to know me, that's cool. But those of y'all that's been following me for so long, but you're just looking for everything free, cheap, all that, y'all are poor people. So I'm trying to help you today. So how to successfully sue the credit bureaus and when you have to have a claim or relief can be granted. So let's go. Let's go to Google. I'm gonna look it up on my phone. Y'all look it up on y'all phone, computer, whatever. So we're gonna Google Rule 12B. Just Rule 12B. Just do that. Rule 12B. Or you just say Rule 12. So you're gonna see defenses and objections when and how presented. So basically, when you're in court, when you're going through litigation, if you're the defendant, you need to file a motion. Every situation is different. Every court is different. It's one thing I need y'all to understand. Every situation is different. Every court is different. But in general, you need to understand Rule 12B number 6. Let's talk about it. So you see Rule 12. Scroll down to B. Scroll down to B. It says how to present defenses. Every defense to a claim for relief in any pleading must be asserted in the responsive pleading if one is required. But a party may assert the following defenses by motion. So go down to number 6. It says failure to state a claim upon which relief can be granted. So the reason why we want to understand this and focus on this is because this is the most common thing you're going to hear or get if you're going through litigation as a consumer, pro se litigant, etc. these attorneys that are representing the credit bureaus, they're going to automatically say, even if you have a claim where relief can be granted, they're going to automatically say, oh, you don't have a claim where relief can be granted, right? They're going to hit you with that Rule 12B number 6 defense motion. Why is that dope, though? The reason why that's dope is because if you're being sued by a debt collector or whoever, right, you as a consumer, you can respond to them based off of a motion to dismiss. Rule 12B number 6, you could use that as your foundation. And obviously, like I said, every situation is different. Every state court is different, right? So if you're in a different state versus somebody else, no matter what state you're in, you want to look up the local rules. Look up the local rules. Be familiar with the local rules because they might have a certain procedure versus somebody else's state on how to actually write a defense motion. So you gotta be aware of that. So number one, as far as suing the credit bureaus and winning, I want y'all to be aware of these defense motions that you could be hit with. So now we got to understand like venue. Where are you actually having this situation take place? So there's many ways you can go about it. You can go through district courts. You can go through small claims, get things resolved quickly. You can go through arbitration. So you really got to understand what way you're doing. If you're going through arbitration, look up experience arbitration, right? Look up experience arbitration agreement. You can, go from there. And what I'm saying is legal advice. If you're doing small claims, basically, if you're in a different state or whatever, if the damage occurred there, look up the local rules. But typically, if the damage occurred where you're located, you can sue for the damages. And one thing y'all got to understand too, like let's say you're going through small claims. Typically, if you're going through small claims, it's going to be a situation where typically it's monetary damages that you're suing for. So monetary damages versus like necessarily the items being removed. I'm not saying that the items can't be removed, but the way that we set things up, we pretty much resolve things outside of court because we've already presented all our evidence and everything to where if it were to go to a hearing, it wouldn't look good for the credit bureaus. That's why the credit bureaus tend to be like, okay, we're going to settle outside of court. They'll send their own settlement agreement. You sign it, you get your new credit report, right? Y'all have seen me post people I've helped and things like that. Well, if you haven't, then, I've posted it before. I've even posted videos breaking it down, communication and things like that. But that's typically how it goes if you resolve it outside of court. If you go through district courts, pretty much similar thing. It's going to be a longer process versus small claims, but they're going to have attorneys and things like that. So that's where you got to understand. Remember, none of this is legal advice. That's where you got to understand things like Rule 602, Rule 601, things like that. Understanding Rule 55, right? But you definitely want to understand Rule 12B number 6, because this is going to be pivotal as far as understanding if they're making that kind of motion against you if you're going through the actual motions. But ideally, you want to settle outside of court. You want to present everything to where it's settled and it doesn't even go to court. But I just want y'all to be aware in case it does go to that extent. Remember, the safest thing, if you don't understand anything I'm saying, you don't understand how to actually articulate yourself, the safest thing is to actually hire an attorney, consumer lawyer, right? So you hire a consumer lawyer, whatever your terms are with them, if they get you your desired result, they take a percentage. Maybe you don't have to put any money up front like that. So, you converse and figure that out. So be familiar with local rules, know what venue you're actually suing in, and you have to have a claim. You have to have a claim if you're going to win. If you are going to win, you have to have a claim. If you present a claim, typically, like I said, what's going to happen? They're going to settle outside of court because they're going to know, like, okay, if it goes to court, this person has a claim, the judge isn't necessarily going to rule in our favor. And I'm not saying that is always a perfect system. Sometimes the judge is going to act in a personal capacity. We have seen that. You can't file a complaint against the judge. So I actually give that resource to my mentees and my mentorship, but you could just Google as far as that. So a lot of people don't realize, like, if you feel like the judge is acting in a personal capacity that wasn't fair and equitable to uphold, the position that they've taken, because you got to understand these judges have taken an oath to go by the law and judge it like their name, judge it fairly, right? So if you're presenting a case where you have a claim, You have evidence, documentation that you've contacted and made these credit bureaus aware of these violations and the fact that they weren't supposed to be reporting it and all of that. And it's literally written in the law that they've broken the law, and the judge is still acting in a personal capacity, like, oh no, we're not going to do all that. You can file a complaint against that judge because you got to remember, they're not in it to necessarily help you. You have to go there and help yourself if you do go to a hearing. So keep that in mind. But if you present everything the right way it should be, you should be able to settle outside of court. As far as actually like presenting a claim where relief can be granted, you have to understand the FCRA. When you understand the FCRA, right, there's many different claims you can go about. So let me give y'all some examples. So one example is the investigation section. So 15 USC 1681I. If you use that section to present your claim, you have to understand the nuances of what actually allows it to be a claim. I got a $27 course called the DIY Recession Repair Remedy. I do more elaboration on all of this. So if you don't have $27 to actually invest in yourself to get more information on this kind of information, then you deserve to be in your situation. I'm gonna just be transparent with y'all. I'm not gonna go super in depth on everything on a free video, free podcast or whatever, but I'm giving y'all enough to go ahead and get started. So let's say you're using a 1681I claim. You got to understand, the nuances of what goes into that. 1681 EB claim, maximum possible accuracy. You have to understand the nuances that goes into that. And so you're using a permissible purpose claim, permissible purpose leading to identity theft. You have to understand the nuances that goes into that. So based off of whatever claim you're actually using, you have to understand the nuances that goes into it. This is why we have things like mentorship. This is why we have things like digital products, teaching people how to go about the process. If you are just a poor person, you're just looking for free, you're gonna die poor, right? You're gonna die not knowing, what the information is. But use this information I'm giving y'all as a way to get started. I do want y'all to get started. And one thing y'all gotta realize too, because I understand there's a lot of poor people in this world, right? As far as their mindset. So if you find yourself wanting to leave a comment or something, like a negative comment saying, oh, you should give out all the sauce for free. You should do this, and this. Number one, first of all, you should probably check yourself. But if you don't want to check yourself and you find yourself leaving that comment or wanting to leave that comment, you're probably poor. You probably don't invest in yourself, and you probably haven't even impacted nearly as many people as I have. You know what I'm saying? So you got to understand whenever you speak, you want to make it make sense. You want to have authority to be able to speak on how you're speaking. If you don't have over 100 podcast episodes, if you don't have over 1,000 YouTube videos educating people, if you don't have thousands of subscribers, and you leaving, like a useless comment that doesn't add value to like the situation, y'all got to realize like you look crazy. You know what I'm saying? So keep that in mind too, because I know some people are entitled. I got people in my DMs that are entitled. We don't do this for free. How come you don't do XYZ, right? Why do you charge this and this, right? And I know my team monitors YouTube comments, so they tell me about just general reportings of some of y'all that's entitled in the comments. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. Praise God, all of y'all, praise God. God be with y'all. But you got to check yourself when you're entitled. Like think about it. Okay, this guy's giving all of this game. Yeah, I have to invest in myself to continue to get more information. But let me sit back. Have I impacted anybody today? Have I uploaded over 1,000 videos? Have I uploaded over 100 podcasts? Right? If you don't have receipts for being able to do that, you don't have receipts for years of educating people, then your comment is probably useless, right? Your comment probably doesn't add value. So keep that in mind too. Just a mindset thing. I want y'all to not be entitled, right? Because you don't have to put out any video, but I just choose to put out these videos. So keep that in mind because I know some entitled people out here. So as far as the litigation piece, successfully suing the credit bureaus. Remember, it depends on your claim. You have to present a claim. So you want to study these laws, and when you're sending out your notices, you want to document everything. Documentation is going to be what actually helps you win your case. So let's say the first round. Let's talk about it. Let's say this is what happens. So you pull your credit report, right? Your consumer report, whatever you want to call it. So you pull the credit report, you're analyzing it, You're studying it. You're like, okay, name wrong, this wrong, this wrong, this wrong. You see a collection. It's reporting. I would mark it up. Mark it up. Violation of whatever FCRA law you want to quote, right? So one example of a law of claim as well, 15 USC 1681 S-2. You can sue under a S-2B claim. And one thing I encourage y'all to do, literally look up cases related to past cases where people sued the credit bureaus, right? You can learn a lot as far as what not to do and as far as what to do. So this is how you educate yourself, right? So that's a free way to educate yourself too. So keep that in mind. So going through the process, right? You pull your credit report, you sending out your notices, right? So you mark up all these violations. You want to make copies of it and keep a folder of everything because documentation is going to be what helps you win your case or settle it outside of court, which is, winning your case. So you're going to send out your notices, send it certified mail. They need to prove that they received it. So, for example, if you're using the 1681 C-2, the block of information resulting from identity theft, it says within 4 business days of them receiving it, they have to delete it. If it's been a week, you clearly have a violation because you dated your notice and then you obviously have a green return receipt showing when they received it. These are things you need in order to put them in the hole of where they're just like, damn, I gotta remove these items. If it goes to court, I'm gonna be in trouble. That's what the credit bureaus are gonna be thinking. So you're gonna send your notice. If you need to fill out an FTC identity theft affidavit, go ahead. It's based off of whatever you know. I'm not telling you to falsely report stuff. I'm telling you to just create your claim, however your claim is, right? Your claim is your claim. It can't tell you what your claim is, right? So those of y'all that's just looking for the answer, it doesn't work like that because I don't know your situation. I don't know what your claim is. So you have to look at your situation and figure out what your claim is, right? So it has to make sense. 1681E says they have to have reasonable procedures to make sure that information is inaccurate, right? Maximum possible accuracy is 1681EB. So what's an example of having reasonable procedures to make sure things are perfectly accurate, right? Reasonable procedures. An example of that. If you were born in 1989, but you have something reported on your credit 1986, they didn't have reasonable procedures to make sure that the information was accurate. So that's a very simple example to give y'all that I hope that y'all can honestly understand and you can articulate that in your notice and you potentially have a lawsuit right there. So because logically, it doesn't make sense for you to be like, I was born in 1989, but you have something reporting that I opened in 1986. The person wasn't born, right? So it's a violation right there. So keep that in mind. Also, understanding the congressional findings section of the FCRA, that's very, very important. So the fact that you have a right to privacy, 1681A number 4, speaking of the congressional findings section, right? And then just talking about how things have to be fair and equitable to the consumer in order to uphold what the FCRA stands for. You know what I'm saying? So some of this is just studying, reading, and just really dissecting the FCRA. This is why I say it's really important to understand the FCRA. This is why we have our FCRA training, the 2-hour training. It's a $500 class. If you're a mentee, you get it for free, right? But y'all really need to understand FCRA. So once you send out your notice, dated it and everything, they received it. You want to cash them in a violation on top of sending them like, okay, you circled the negative items that need to be deleted. You need to send them an invoice. Send them an invoice. You need to pay all of this for what's going on. The reason why the invoice is important is because if it actually goes to court, a lot of times they're going to ask you, did you attempt to resolve it outside of court? Did you attempt to get money from this person outside of court, right? So you want to have documentation that you've actually attempted to do it. Remember, nothing in this video, nothing in this podcast I'm saying is legal advice. This is all for entertainment purposes, right? So if anybody from Experian, TransUnion, or Equifax that me and my clients done clapped is watching this, you know what I'm saying? This is entertainment purposes, so you can't hold this against me. None of what I'm saying is legal advice. This is all entertainment. So what I'm saying, maybe it's true, maybe it's not true, but it's entertainment. That's what I'll say. So, if the credit bureaus are watching this, they're gonna be mad, but it's entertainment. So yeah, once you send out those notices, you trap them in a violation. You also want to do a CFPB complaint. So CFPB complaint, what I would recommend you attach your credit report where you mark stuff up. So you're going to scan it. have it as a document, put it on there, right? You're gonna attach your dispute notice, letting them know the violation. If you have an FTC report, go ahead and attach that. Attach a copy of your ID as well, right? And yeah, that's pretty much what you want to attach. Explain, what happened. You want to have your CFPB complaint on hand too. The reason why the CFPB complaint is important because it'll show the date of when you submitted it. So dates are very, very important when you want to present your claim. The dates are very, very important. When did XYZ happen? Did XYZ happen on XYZ day? I did XYZ, right? So you got to understand what you did and when you did it, and how you did it. Was it a violation? So these are things you gotta be aware of, just generally walking y'all through the process. So once you send out that notice, right? You did your CFPB complaint, you did a certified mail, so you know when they received it. So if you get told verified, you can follow up with the method of verification. So 15 USC 1681I number 7. It's basically explaining, asking them how did they actually verify the information, because there's certain procedures that have to be in place to actually verify the information. So you're going to ask them all that. Everything is documentation. So in your method of verification, what I recommend you do is reference a previous notice that they said was verified. Typically, what's going to happen when you disputing stuff, some stuff's going to get deleted, some stuff won't. So you got to ask them, if these items got deleted over here, how come these items didn't get deleted? What was your actual method of verification? So ask them that and make them prove that to you. So once you send that, what you can do is you can give them a pre-litigation notice and basically just let them know, like, I'm done playing with y'all. If y'all don't correct the matter, I already have all the documentation of everything I've sent you. We're gonna go through litigation. You let them know all that. 9 times out of 10, I would say they're not really gonna, they're not gonna respect you until you actually sue them. So this is why every notice we send is preparing for actual litigation. So once it goes through litigation, right? Once you've sent that notice and you're ready to actually sue them, you got to understand your venue. Are you going through small claims? Are you doing district courts? Are you going through arbitration? So let's just say it's small claims or district courts. What you're going to do, typically with district courts, it varies everywhere, but typically it's going to be a $402 filing fee. You can file something to basically waive that fee, but the thing is they're going to ask you for like your income and things like that. So it's really up to you, because what you could do is you can just pay the 402 filing fee, and then what you're actually suing for, you can add the 402 filing fee on top of it too, if you really wanted to. But yeah, small claims, same thing. You go to your local court. You're basically saying you fill out the statement of claim form. It's different everywhere. Know your area. Call the self-service desk or whatever, because they usually have it depending on the court. They're gonna basically help you as far as where to go for the items. They can't give you legal advice, but they could tell you you can find this form over here, statement of claim form over here. Typically, what you need to actually file a case is going to be the statement of claim form, and then you're gonna have to have a summons where you're gonna serve the actual credit bureaus. So best practices as well. I just remembered, you want to also mail out, not just to the PO box addresses, but you want to mail out to their registered agent addresses, because when you actually serve them for court, that's where it's gonna be served to. And for those of y'all that don't know what serving means, it means when you're letting them know that they're being sued. So one resource you can use, which we use, is called Undisputed Legal. So you can just Google it. It's like $150 per person you're serving. So if you're suing all 3 credit bureaus, it's gonna be $450. But you can literally Google a cheaper service if you really wanted to. But I'm giving you something if you didn't have a resource for actually, what I'm saying, being able to actually serve them. So that's a resource you can use. Undisputed Legal. So once you file the statement of claim and everything else you need, you're gonna basically, like I said, you're gonna serve them. Once you serve them, they're gonna receive the lawsuit. At that time, typically what's gonna happen is they're gonna basically say, like, okay, give us some time to investigate it. And then as it gets closer to the date, like if you do small claims, your date shouldn't be more than 60 days out. So they're gonna be like, typically if you have everything set up correctly, they're gonna be like, okay, you did everything in accordance with the law. We're looking to settle outside of court. Most cases are gonna be like, oh, we're not offering monetary compensation. At that point, it's up to you if you wanna bargain with them or just sign their settlement agreement and just get your deletions and go do what you need to do. You know what I'm saying? So it's really up to you how you want to go about it. They're pretty stingy for the most part, so keep that in mind. But on their end, they're not gonna want to hold any liability, even though they know that they're wrong. they know that they're wrong, depending on how you file your claim, depending on how you do your notices and things like that. Because I can't say that they're wrong because if you don't know what you did, right? But if you do everything correctly, they're going to attempt to settle outside of court with you. And then at that point, you can sign a settlement agreement, go on about and get what you need to get. Go get your funding, go get to the next level, go get all that, right? So I want y'all to know, like, it's possible to remove any item. It's possible to remove any item, depending on how you present your case. Right? It's definitely possible. And when you understand, this process of litigation, it goes through not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when you're gonna get it deleted. So just that's just some that's just some stuff I wanted to tell y'all as far as going through litigation by yourself. I definitely recommend that you seek legal advice from an attorney if you feel more comfortable doing all that, but you can do the process yourself, right? I've, for entertainment purposes, I do the process myself when I'm helping people. So, you know, I've seen the success. So I understand. If you've never done it, it might seem crazy. Like, I don't know if this is possible, but I've literally helped people do it successfully. So, I've seen it happen personally. So everything I'm speaking about is based off of my experience. Every situation is going to be different. And then you got to understand that there's a lot of variables. Maybe the judge is acting in personal capacity if it does go to the hearing. And then, for whatever reason, whatever happens. So you do have resources. You can file a claim against a judge as well if you feel like they're acting in personal capacity. Only if you feel like you presented a claim or relief can be granted. So my best recommendation to y'all, rewatch this episode, play it multiple times, figure out, that you're doing everything that you need to be doing. Continue binge watching the podcast, continue binge watching my YouTube channel, and you'll really get to the next level and be able to do what y'all need to do. But with that being said, I don't want to continue to delay the podcast. With that being said, y'all have a blessed one.